It also ends up having an effect, or is starting to have an effect, on how you make movies.
In 2020, I secretly walked away from Hollywood. Why I say secretly is I got on a plane, I got out of there, I was Jack from the Titanic. I realized that we were about to hit an iceberg, and I said, I'm not letting Rose determine my fate, because Lord knows she's going to push me off a door into the icy cold Atlantic, and I'm going to die. I secretly ran my studio from a totally different state in the Midwest, and boy, was I right. 4 years later, Hollywood has lost a third of its workforce. Studios are writing off $9 billion, and TikTokers are getting Broadway deals faster than most actors are getting their SAG cards. I wasn't crazy. I was early. See, what no one wants to tell you is that Hollywood isn't just collapsing. It is literally on fire, and everything has completely changed, and most people don't want to accept it. And in today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how and what that means for the rest of us out there. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ashley BTB Show. Before we dive into our deep dive on the collapse of Hollywood, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and if you're a creator or an entrepreneur out there who's looking to build your own YouTube channel, my next live YouTube bootcamp with Beekeeper Media, my company, where we teach you on how to create buzzworthy content that stops the scroll, is February 21st. So if you want to work with me individually in a small group experience, I promise you it's better than any e-course or anything I've ever taken out there. Go ahead, check out the details below. I'll have a special bonus offer for you in the description. Let's dive into today's story. In the last 18 months, Warner Brothers lost $9 billion. Hollywood lost 1/3 of its workers. 110 plus shows were canceled. And the streaming services are basically telling every director, including Matt Damon out there, that you have to repeat your plot 4 times because you have to assume that people are scrolling on TikTok and putting things in their Amazon. But here's what no one's actually talking about. While traditional actors are struggling to get auditions, there's TikTokers out there like Whitney Levitt, Alex Earl, and the likes that are getting Broadway deals, that are getting movie deals. In 2 years, the industry has completely changed. Today, I'm going to show you why Hollywood is dying from the inside out, how streaming destroyed the entire business model, why studios are now making movies for people who aren't even watching, ? And what this means for anyone trying to build a career in 2026, because the old rules are just broken. They're actively destroying people who still follow them. I want to take you back to the yesteryears, to old Hollywood, right? In 1946, Hollywood was at its peak. 4 billion movie tickets were sold. 90 million people went to the movies every single week. 60% of Americans went to the theater at least once a week, more than they went to church. Movies weren't just entertainment. They were huge cultural events. When The Exorcist came out in 1973, people were fainting in theaters. Ambulances were called. Religious groups thought it was causing demonic possessions. The movie ran for 2 years in the theaters. When Jaws came out, it created a fear of sharks that scientists still call the Jaws effect. These movies didn't just make money, okay? They shaped culture, and the system worked. Studios controlled everything: the production, the distribution, the theaters. They were vertically integrated machines printing money. Actors like Denzel Washington, Brad Pitt, Leo DiCaprio, they were movie stars. Their names alone could put butts in the seats. Writers worked in rooms of 8 to 12 people, crafting 22 to 24 episodes per season. And when your show went into syndication, boom, that was generational wealth from your residuals. Every time your episode aired, you got. In the 90s, why do you think all these actors are just sitting on their sitcom money? Because they can. And that is not something that happens nowadays. For 100 years, there was one path. Move to LA, get an agent, get discovered, get famous. Hollywood controlled the cameras, the distribution, the money, and most importantly, the audience. When I started, and I worked my butt off for years, and then I started landing awesome roles. I started making money. I started working with Netflix and Nickelodeon and Disney. I was in the rooms with executives, greenlighting projects you've probably watched. And then everything changed. Now, here's what's wild. Hollywood has survived technological threats before. In the 1950s, TV was supposed to kill movies. Theater attendance dropped 70%. Studios panicked, but they adapted. They made movies big. The CinemaScope, the Technicolor, spectacles you couldn't get at home. In the 1970s, the VCR was supposed to kill Hollywood yet again. The head of MPAA literally said the VCR is to Hollywood what the Boston Strangler is to a woman home alone. They even sued VCR manufacturers, but what happened? Home video became a gold mine. By 1985, home video revenue surpassed theater revenue, and DVDs made them even richer. $20 billion a year at their peak. Oh my gosh, you remember the DVDs? I still have a ton of DVDs. Every time technology threatened Hollywood, it actually made them more money until it didn't. Now, here's what happened. In 2007, two things. Steve Jobs announced the iPhone and Netflix launched Watch Now, instant streaming. Hollywood made the same mistake they always made, right? They thought they could control it. At first, streaming looked like another revenue stream, right? Netflix was just renting out DVDs by mail. Remember that? You would be so excited to get your Netflix DVD in the mail. And they needed content. So what did studios do? They licensed their old shows and movies to them for easy money. Friends, The Office, all the classics. Netflix paid millions just to stream them. Studios thought, this is great. We make money doing nothing. But then Netflix did something Hollywood never saw coming. They looked at the data and realized, why are we paying the studios when we could just become a studio? In 2013, Netflix released Orange is the New Black, their first major original. Oh my God. Leave me a comment below and let me know if you love Orange is the New Black because it broke every single record. We're talking 6 Golden Globe nominations, a Grammy, 21 Emmy nominations, and Netflix realized, oh snap, if we own the content, we keep 100% of the profit. So they went on a rampage. Since 2013, Netflix has produced over 3,700 original titles. Let that sink in. 3,700 original titles. That's more than half of their entire catalog. And every other studio panicked and said, oh, snap, we need our own Netflix. So what do we see? Disney pulled all their content and launched Disney+. NBC took The Office back for Peacock. Now we're seeing Peacock. Warner Brothers launched HBO Max. Paramount launched Paramount Plus. Suddenly, instead of one Netflix with everything you need now, 7+ subscriptions to watch what they used to be able to watch on cable? And that's when the death spiral began. Because this is what led to the economic collapse. So let me show you what's happened since streaming took over because this is actually insane. Warner Brothers Discovery lost $9.1 billion in TV assets. Paramount cut 15% of workforce. They lost $6 billion in market cap. And Disney lost 12.5 million subscribers. The box office is down 26% from 2019. That's an $8.7 billion. Versus $11.4 billion. Streaming losses, we're talking studios losing $5 billion combined trying to compete. And then there's the cable cord cutting. They lost $30 billion in annual revenue. But here's the thing no one is also talking about. DVD and home video used to be 60% of Hollywood's revenue. 60% completely gone, completely evaporated. Streaming was supposed to replace it, but streaming doesn't work the same way. See, with DVDs, you bought the movie. Studios got paid every time. With streaming, you pay $15 a month. With what? You get to watch unlimited content. Studios now have to split that money between thousands of titles. The math doesn't work, which leads to the creative collapse. It's getting worse, believe me, because streaming didn't just destroy the business model, it destroyed the creative model too. Writers' rooms were talking that were between 8 to 12 people, but some writers' rooms were up to 20 people, are now down to 2 to 4 people unless it's a massive, massive show. Let me put this into perspective for you. I was listening to the showrunner from Bridgerton, and Bridgerton's insanely massive show that probably back in the day would have been like 20 writers is only 8 writers. And by the way, they're not even meeting on the studio lots anymore. They're meeting over Zoom, even though most of them are in California. That is insane. Then we've got the show cancellations. 110 plus scripted shows were canceled in 2024 alone. The season lengths are also really disturbing for working actors and for production crews. They dropped from 22 episodes, guaranteed. When you get a season, at least 22 episodes, right? Now the average is 8 episodes per season. Residuals are the saddest thing in the world. And myself as an actor who's still getting residual checks, I mean, I love a good residual check, right? But those are hundreds of dollars, if not pennies, compared to what they used to be back in the day, which was tens of thousands of dollars. Actors are making 80% less on streaming versus traditional TV. You used to be able to book a sitcom, do 24 episodes a season, and then when it's syndicated, you'd get paid every time it aired. Jennifer Aniston isn't massively rich because Friends aired on TV once. She's rich because of all of her massive residual checks from Friends. Jerry Seinfeld still makes $40 to $50 million a year from Seinfeld residuals. But streaming completely killed that for the working actor. Now you get 8 episodes, a one-time flat fee, and if you're lucky, maybe a season 2. Emily in Paris was a great example that they're getting a 6-season pickup, and that, my friends, is a unicorn. That doesn't happen anymore. Most shows are getting canceled after just one season because Netflix's model is if it's not an overnight viral hit, kill it. They'd rather spend $200 million on the next show than give it to an existing show to find its audience. And if you used to remember back in the day, Mindy Kaling talks about this with The Office. The Office season 1 didn't really hit, and it wasn't until later seasons that the show started taking off. Now, your show better hit out of the gate or it's not getting a season 2. And that really puts a lot of pressure on the writers, on the actors, on the producers to really create that viral sensation, that viral hook that we all talk about on YouTube right out of the gate. Now, the geographic collapse is something to discuss too, because this is really a crazy part. Hollywood is leaving Los Angeles. You know, I told you earlier that my friends in Los Angeles are telling me only 5 shows right now are even being filmed in Los Angeles. 40% of production now happens outside of LA. Atlanta has more sound stages than Hollywood. Canada offers better tax incentives, and Georgia gave out $1.3 billion in tax credits in 2023 alone. Columbus, Ohio, where I live now, is actually also building a $1 billion studio complex right here in Ohio. Could Ohio be the next Hollywood? Maybe. Production in LA is down 30% in the last 5 years. 18,000 stagehands have left the industry. Sound stages that used to be booked solid are sitting empty. Why? Because it costs 20 to 30% more to produce in California than anywhere else. So studios said, why would we stay here? And they left. But the human cost to me is truly the worst part, and that's the people. Hollywood has lost 1/3 of its workforce in the past 5 years. That's writers, actors, crew members. They're all struggling. The 2023 strikes we saw between SAG, I was actually, alongside my fellow actors petitioning outside of Warner Brothers myself. I saw them. Everyone is desperate for work. Everyone is desperate for a paycheck that can last until the next time they have to pay rent, right? Those lasted 148 days. You know what studio executives said during those strikes? We're going to let them bleed out until they have to come back. That's a direct quote. These are the people who make the content, and the studios would rather let them starve than pay them fairly. VFX artists are working 80-hour weeks on impossible deadlines, creating rust CGI that looks terrible on screen. Writers are being replaced by AI faster than you and I know how to spell grok. Actors are being told, we'll scan your face and use it forever and you'll never get paid again. This isn't just a business model collapse. This is also a moral collapse. And the brain rot problem is huge because this is where it actually gets insane and is affecting the stories that we're watching on screen. And you're probably thinking, why is the content just getting kind of bad? Studios understand that you're not actually paying attention.
The experience of watching at home, I think you're watching in a room, the lights are on, other shit's going on, the kids are running around, the dogs are running around, whatever it is. You know what I mean? It's just a very different level of attention that you're willing to, or that you're able to give to it. And that has a big effect. And it also ends up having an effect, or is starting to have an effect on how you make movies.
A few weeks ago, Ben Affleck and Matt Damon did an interview where they revealed something wild. Netflix told Matt Damon to repeat the plot 3 to 4 times in his movies. Not subtly, literally to say the plot out loud in the dialogue, because you now have to assume that viewers are on their phone, scrolling, putting things in their Amazon carts, basically doing anything but paying attention to content. Think about that. Studios are spending $200 million on a movie, and they're designing it for people who are scrolling TikTok at the same time. That doesn't sound like a movie theater now, does it?
Netflix, the standard way to make an action movie that we learned was, you usually have like 3 set pieces, one in the first act, one in the second, and one in the third. And, they kind of ramp up in the big one with all the explosions, and you spend most of your money on that one in the third act. That's your kind of finale. And now they're like, can we get a big one in the first 5 minutes to get somebody, we want people to stay tuned in. And it wouldn't be terrible if you reiterated the plot 3 or 4 times in the dialogue, because people are on their phones while they're watching, you know what I mean?
Oh, no.
And so then it's going to really start to infringe on
creatively.
how we're telling the story.
This is why modern movies just feel different. They don't feel like there's any subtleties anymore. It feels like everything's kind of just laid out. It's explained through dialogue, right? Remember when movies used to show us things? Like we would say, even in the news industry, show, don't tell. Well, a glance between two characters, that subtle piece of symbolism, Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley and Mr. Darcy, that's gone. Now characters literally narrate what's happening on screen because studios assume you're not looking. Action is front-loaded. All the best moments are in the first 20 minutes to grab your attention before you pull out your phone. Plot points are repeated constantly because if you miss it the first time while you're checking Instagram, don't worry, they'll tell you again and again and again. Now, in the background, Netflix even has a term for this. It's called second screen content specifically designed to be on while you're doing something else. And if you think I'm exaggerating, go watch Jurassic Park from 1993 and then watch Jurassic World Dominion. Jurassic Park used practical animatronics. Those dinosaurs felt real. They had weight. Jurassic World now is all CGI. The dinosaurs look like video game characters. It's not because the technology got worse. It's because studios don't care anymore. They're not making art. They're making content. And there's a huge difference. This is leading to a creativity crisis. Why is everything a sequel or a reboot or a remake? Because Hollywood is terrified of taking risks. And I hear this among my producer friends all the time. Everyone just wants original IP. IP is intellectual property that's already taking off. This is why the Colleen Hoover books and all the movies have done so well. This is why, Harry Potter has done so well. I mean, that was kind of before this crisis happened, but this is why you're seeing just Marvel movies all the time or comic book things or a reboot or whatever. You're not really seeing original content unless it's a book that's taking off on Book Talk. Look at the 2024 box office top 15. Not a single original film. Every single one of them was either a sequel, a reboot, or a remake. Based on existing IP, Spider-Man has been rebooted 3 times in 20 years. Disney keeps making live-action remakes of animated classics that nobody's asked for. Fast and the Furious is on the movie number 11. Marvel's pumping out 6 post-projects a year. Why? Because studios think if people loved it before, they'll pay to see it again. And for a while, it worked. But now audiences are burned out. Marvel's Phase 4 proved it. After Endgame, people were exhausted. Eternals, Thor Love, and Thunder, they all underperformed. Not because they were terrible, but because people are tired of homework. When every movie connects to 10 other movies, when every post-credit scene sets up another sequel, it stops being fun and becomes more like a job. And here's the thing, movies we still call masterpieces are now risks. The Matrix, Inception, Godfather, Pulp Fiction, Get Out. None of these movies were actually safe bets. They were original ideas that could have flopped, but they didn't. They became culture. And Hollywood has forgotten how to do that. You know what else has disappeared? Mid-budget movies, comedies, dramas, thrillers, the $20 to $50 million movies that used to be everywhere. Now it's either you're going to do a $200 million blockbuster or a $2 million indie film dumped onto streaming that honestly is going to be really hard for you and I to even find because there's so much content on streaming to begin with. There's really no middle ground. And it's because studios only want guaranteed wins. This is why you even saw It Ends With Us get the green light in the first place because it was such a classic hit, a big hit on Book Talk and in the bookstores. They'd rather spend $300 million on a Marvel movie that's number 47 than $30 million on an original comedy. Even if that comedy could be great, here's the thing, unless it's a safe bet, it's not going to be made. So those movies move to streaming, or they just don't get made at all. All right, now we have to talk about the China problem. This is what no one talks about. Hollywood started making movies for China. By 2019, China was the number 2 box office market in the world, $9.3 billion. So studios started tailoring content to not offend the Chinese government. What does that mean? No controversial topics, no complex themes, just big, loud CGI spectacles that translate globally. This is why everything feels the same. When you're trying to appeal to everyone in the world and offend nobody, you end up making bland, safe, forgettable content. Movies used to challenge you. They used to make you think. They used to make you feel uncomfortable. Now they're designed to be consumed and forgotten. How many times has someone asked you, hey, what was that movie about? And you're like, I honestly can't even remember. Then there's the generational shift as well. Gen Z does not watch movies, which is honestly crazy for any of us who are older than Gen Z because you're like, movies are the best. Gen Z doesn't want to watch movies or TV. Don't believe me? Let's look at the data. Gen Z spends only 17.7% of their entertainment time on traditional Hollywood content. They spend 24% of their time on TikTok, YouTube, and social media. YouTube is now the #1 TV network in America. What should that tell all of you YouTubers out there? And gaming is a $200 billion industry, 5 times bigger than Hollywood. Only 15% of Gen Z say movie theaters are their preferred way to watch content. That's down by 31% in 2015. Think about that. The next generation of consumers do not care about Hollywood. They'd rather watch a YouTuber play video games, a TikToker do a 60-second skit, or a Twitch streamer react to content. Why? Because it feels real. Hollywood content feels overproduced, corporate, fake, UGI. It doesn't feel authentic, raw, and relatable. Now we have to talk about the TikTok takeover. While all this is happening, something else is also happening. TikTokers are becoming the new Hollywood stars, and traditional actors, oh my God. I'm laughing because it's like I've seen it coming for many, many years. Most of us have, but a lot of people that are in the traditional formats, they refuse to. Let's talk about Winnie Levitt, the Secret Lives of Mormon Wives stars that really popped off from her little TikTok mom group, right? So she was a mom posting on TikTok, and then she joins Mom Talk. It goes viral. They get their own Hulu show. In and of itself, massive, right? But then that show gets her another show, Dancing with the Stars. Boom. Now we see, wow, she's not just a reality star, but she can dance. Now all the people who are, going to Broadway dance classes every other day, now they're competing with this TikToker. And boy, those actors don't like competing with TikTokers. Let me tell you. And what does that TikToker get that all of the young women and young men that are getting up early, that are going to open calls in New York City don't get? She gets her own Broadway show. Roxy Hart on Broadway in New York City. And she's not alone. We've seen Alex Earls getting her own Netflix show, Addison Rae, multiple Netflix movies, KB Lame, CAA representation, of course, Hollywood deals for Emma Chamberlain. And then, of course, you have Alex Cooper, who's completely changed the capabilities of the podcast industry and what that means. So it used to be get discovered, get famous, build an audience. Now it's build an audience, get discovered, and get famous. And traditional actors absolutely hate this. I've been in rooms where actors say, I'm not an influencer, I'm an actor. I don't want to post on TikTok. That's beneath me. But as someone who was in the industry for so many years, we were not told to do that. We were told to keep up the mystique, right? You're either an influencer or you're an actor. Your work should speak for itself. You also don't want people to confuse who you are in real life with who you're playing on TV. You want them to fall in love with your character, not your online persona. But now the industry has completely changed. And unfortunately, those actors who had it ingrained in their system, and believe me when I say, guys, I understand because I did too. It's a mind F. Truly is a mind F when you're being told, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. It'll ruin your career. And now they're saying you can't even get into the room unless you do that. So now when you go into audition, one of the #1 questions they're still asking actors is how many followers do you have and what's your engagement rate? Can you promote this project? This sucks. I know, it sucks. But it only sucks if you see it that way, or you take this as an opportunity to say, I actually have all of the control. Studios realize, why would we pay for marketing when the actor can do it for free? And the sad part is, in all of this, is that we are witnessing a death in the movie star because studios care more about how many people you can bring to the box office than truly how good you are. And I think honestly, we need a mix of both, right? Like you need to be able to show that you can bring people to the box office, that you can help with marketing on your social media, but you also have to be really, really good at your craft because just because you have a huge following obviously doesn't mean that you're good at your craft. Audiences don't want to watch bad actors just because they're good on TikTok, okay? We no longer have that allure, that icon, the Denzel Washington, the Brad Pitt, the Julia Roberts, the Meryl Streeps, these people that felt larger than life because we didn't know that. We didn't see them making bagels like Hillary Duff's doing right now on Instagram. By the way, I love it. And we're going to do a deep dive on Hillary Duff coming up. So if you haven't already, go ahead, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. Give this video a like if you haven't already, guys. It really helps support my channel. You're watching my free content. I love it, and I love your support, but also help push it out to other people so I can continue doing what I do for you guys. We didn't hear their political rants on Twitter. We didn't watch their trauma dumps on TikTok. We only saw them in movies or in rare, carefully curated interviews. That mystery made them icons. Now, everyone's just overexposed. We know too much. We see too much. And when you see your favorite actor posting their morning routine, they stop feeling like a movie star and they feel more like your neighbor. Denzel Washington literally told Michael B. Jordan, "Don't put your whole life on social media. That's what's killing the movie star." And he's right. The industry doesn't want movie stars anymore. The industry demands putting your bagel on TikTok. So we're stuck in this weird place right now where studios want actors with huge followings, but that overexposure also kills the mystique that made movie stars so special. It's like a whole death spiral. Before we go on to what I'm calling the message problem, I want to remind all the creators and all the entrepreneurs out there, for those who understand that this is a moment in time that actually you get to take control of your own career, go ahead and join my live YouTube bootcamp. You're going to get to work with me and a small group one-on-one 4-week experience where we're going to launch your YouTube channel with confidence, clarity, and social strategy. You're going to cut out all the BS. And I'm going to also show you how to utilize AI tools to expedite your growth so exponentially. You're going to be like, why didn't I do this years ago? Why didn't I do this months ago? Bootcamp starts February 21st. If you're watching it, there's a special code in my YouTube description below. Spots are limited, so grab your spot now. Now, I want to get into the message problem. Hollywood stopped telling stories and they started delivering lectures. I'm not here to get political, but I think we can all agree that movies have always had messages. That's not anything new, right? The Godfather was about the American dream and corruption. The Matrix was about control and reality. Get Out was about race in America. But those movies told stories first. The message was woven into the narrative. You can watch them, enjoy them, and then think about the themes later, right? Movies now announce their message in the first 10 minutes and then they beat you over the head with it for the next 2 hours. Characters don't talk like people, they talk like they're reading from a think piece. Villains aren't complex, they're straw men designed to make the hero look morally superior, and if you don't like it, you're labeled a bigot. This happened with Star Wars sequels, Marvel Phase 4, Disney remakes, countless Netflix originals, and here's the thing. It's not about agreeing or disagreeing with the message. It's about the fact that when you prioritize the message over the story, you just make bad art, okay? A great story can have a message you disagree with, but it can still be worth watching, right? But if the story sucks and you're just being lectured, nobody wants that. And the data proves it, okay? 61% of Republicans view Hollywood as a net negative. Even Democrats are getting tired of getting preached to. When you alienate half your audience, you're just in trouble, okay? And this kills rewatchability. But here's the worst part. When a movie's just a lecture, you don't rewatch it. I've never rewatched a lecture from college. Have you? But I've rewatched Mrs. Doubtfire 10 times. I've rewatched Pride and Prejudice like 15 times. Why? Because they're stories. They have layers. They reward rewatching. Modern Hollywood movies, you watch them once and then you forget about them. That's not art. Once again, that's content. And then we have the AI threat. If you thought things couldn't get worse, we do have to talk about AI because studios are already experimenting with it. AI generated scripts, AI de-aging actors, AI generated extras, which is so sad because there's so many people out there in the world that just love being on Hollywood sets, especially retired folks, and they love being extras on sets. Like that is their new second chance of life of being on a Hollywood set, like being an extra every day. They're actors and they're getting replaced by AI, not to mention AI generated music. Why? Because AI is cheap. Why pay a writer $100,000 when AI can spit out a script for free? Why hire 500 background actors when you can generate them? Why build sets when you can do it all alone on a computer? This is what the 2023 strikes were fighting against. Writers and actors were saying, if you let AI replace us, the soul of storytelling dies. And we're right, because AI can mimic patterns. It can analyze data. It can create formulas. A lot of the podcasts you're listening to out there is probably generated by AI. People are putting in their voices into AI systems, and you're no longer listening to a creator anymore. You're listening to their AI prototype. But it can't create art. It can't take risks, and it can't make you feel something you've never felt before. Hollywood is going down this route for literally one reason. The reason it's always made these decisions, because it's cheaper, but it's soulless, it's algorithm driven, it's designed to hit metrics instead of hearts. And at that point, if we completely go there, Hollywood won't just be dying, it'll already be dead. All right, I gotta leave you with some inspiration. Because what does this mean for you? If you want to work in entertainment in 2026 or you want to build your own personal brand out there, here are the new rules. Rule number 1, your audience is your resume. It doesn't matter if you went to Juilliard or if you got an MBA from Harvard, okay? It matters in the entertainment industry. If you have 100K followers, studios aren't looking for the best actor. They're looking for the actor with the biggest audience. However, this also means build your audience, but also focus on your craft. Because at the end of the day, the audience may get you through the door, but it's not going to get you on the screen if you're not a good actor. Rule number 2, location also doesn't matter anymore. You don't have to move to LA. In fact, honestly, don't. Production is in Atlanta, Canada, New Mexico, and soon to be. And creators, they're everywhere. Build your audience from wherever you are. Rule number 3, focus on ownership over opportunity, because Hollywood's going to offer you opportunities, but then they're going to own that relationship with your audience. But when you build your own platform, you own the relationship with your audience forever. Winnie Levitt didn't wait for Hulu to discover her. She built an audience, then Hulu came to them. That's the new model. Rule number 4, content is king, but distribution is queen, and we all know who rules the house. You can make the best content in the world, but if you don't own the distribution, the audience, the platform, the relationship, you're at someone else's mercy. And Hollywood is learning this the hard way. Don't make the same mistake. That means even on YouTube, I have no access to subscribers unless you guys join my mailing list below. Go ahead and sign up for my newsletter, my Substack, all the things in the description. But you need to focus on owning your audience, getting their emails, being able to distribute content directly to them versus relying on platforms. Which leads me to my predictions. Prediction number 1 is more studios will collapse or merge, like Warner Brothers, Paramount, even Disney, because they're all struggling. By 2028, I think we're going to see a major consolidation. Some are going to shut down and some are going to merge. And when that happens, even more shows are going to get canceled and even more are going to get cut from the writers' rooms. Number 2 prediction is that production is going to leave LA entirely because LA is expensive AF and so is California. And this is why I left. I'm sorry, guys, but I don't know why you're still there. I literally don't know why. All the actors, you're turning in self-tapes anyway. Get out, save money, and build the life of your dreams. But if you love it, obviously stay. But I'm biased. By 2028, I think 60% of production is going to move outside of Los Angeles. The tax incentives are just too good. The costs are too high in LA. Hollywood as a place is going to become a tourist attraction, which it already is. It's not going to become a production hub. We're going to see the studio lots are going to get emptier and emptier, and writers' rooms will also disappear. With AI and smaller budgets, I think writers' rooms are going to continue to shrink, which does make me really sad for my friends out there. But again, more of an incentive to take control of your own careers, create your own things, get distribution or control distribution itself. It's already nearly impossible to break into a writer's room, and it's only going to get worse. Number 4, theaters will become event spaces. Movie theaters won't die completely, but they're going to become like concerts. They're going to become special events, not weekly habits. You're going to go see Christopher Nolan in IMAX, but you're not going to go see a random comedy on a Tuesday, which means there's probably going to be less comedies in the movies. We're already seeing this more and more, which is sad because I love comedies. Like those are the things I love going to the most, comedies and rom-coms. Number 5 prediction is creators will start their own studios. Mr. Beast and Emma Chamberlain are already doing this. And I think we're going to see more and more creators create their own production companies, make their own shows, and get distribution independently. They don't need Hollywood anymore. And the more you lean into this, the quicker you do, the better you're going to become. And prediction number 6 is that the actor alone, like the movie star, will be completely obsolete. There's not going to be traditional actors anymore who just show up and do their lines and go home. I truly believe that's over. I think the future belongs to creator performers, which is what I tapped into and really was very, very passionate about when the Broad City Girls popped off 10 years ago. Issa Rae, the Duplass brothers, like all these people were catching onto the wave. Now it's just inevitable that if you want to survive in Hollywood, you have to create your own projects. You have to become writers. You have to become producers. You need to be able to do more than just show up and do your lines because that in and of itself is not adding enough value. And if you can't do all that, you will struggle. Prediction number 7 is Hollywood will try to buy creators. As creators get bigger, Hollywood is going to try to buy them, which is so funny because this is what they used to do back in the day with like Marilyn Monroe. They would have them on deals. You would have a deal with Warner Brothers or a deal with Sony Pictures, and then you would only be able to work with them. They're going to offer them deals and contracts and partnerships, and some creators are going to take them. But the smart ones will say no, because once Hollywood owns you, you're back in the system that's collapsing. It's going to feel appealing at first because of the mystique from yesteryears. But the appeal is actually right here on YouTube. I promise you. I know this was a lot, and I know this sounds scary. And if you're still with me, praise you. I love you so much. Thank you guys so much for being here. A lot of people in Hollywood, they feel the fear. But for you, this is the best news you could get because the barriers are gone. You don't need to move to Hollywood anymore. You don't need an agent. You don't need permission. You need a phone. You need a point of view. You need a willingness to build in public and do it afraid. That's it. Hollywood spent 100 years gatekeeping, and now the gates are open. The old system rewarded people who waited, and the new system rewards people who build. And if you're building a personal brand, a creator business, or you want to work in entertainment, I promise you guys, right now is your moment. The old system is dying, and it's taking everyone who refuses to adapt with it. But the new system is wide open, and it starts now. Look, I left Hollywood secretly in 2020, and now I'm doing it loudly, and I'm saying out loud, I no longer feel like I belong to this system, and it was the best decision I ever made. Not because Hollywood's bad. I love Hollywood. I love the entertainment industry. I know sometimes people think I don't just because I expose things here on my channel, but it's because I realize I don't need them in a positive way. And neither do you. And the future is independent. The future is creator owned, and the future is now. So if you're someone who is also not waiting to be discovered and you are looking to build on your own, this is a moment in time that I think is so special. And you're either going to stop waiting to be discovered and you're going to take the reins of this new opportunity, or you're going to die off like the rest of them. And if you are serious about building your channel and your personal brand and your media empire this year, go ahead and check out my YouTube Bootcamp. It starts February 21st. I cannot wait to work with you. There's a special bonus discount in the description below. And if you're watching this after February 21st, check out the resources. I promise I am there for you. I'm like your little media best friend, and we're going to do this together. I love you guys so much. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, give this video a like, and if you want to catch up on all of our Hollywood breakdowns, I want you to watch this video next.